Welcome back. We have a very special guest on today, Alexandra Hudson, and she is discussing her latest book, The Soul of Civility, Timeless Principles to Heal Society and Ourselves. Alexandra, thanks again for joining. Just before the commercial break, we were kind of going over the topic of social yet selfish. What does that mean?
So, as human beings, we're defined by two competing impulses: love of others and love of self. We're profoundly social as a species. We become fully human. We thrive in relationship with others. As long as we've been around as a species, we've come together because we achieve more and life is better together. And yet, morally and biologically, we're defined by self love. We're driven to meet our own needs before others. And those two facets of who we are in tension. And that is why this problem of civility, this challenge of how do we do life together across deep difference, is a timeless one. We hear a lot of thoughtful people say, that this is a uniquely uncivil moment. We're uniquely divided. We're
Mhm.
uniquely rude and mean and isolated. And of course, there's a reason I wrote my book right now. This is a problem, but it's also a timeless one, and we have to grapple with the intractability of this problem so that we don't come in with pat answers. It's a serious problem. It's an important problem, but we want to do it justice, and we don't want to pretend like one public leader, one new technology is the problem, or that one magic bullet, one book, for example, is the solution. It's a timeless, intractable problem, and in fact, we are each part of the solution in our everyday. That's a core argument of my book.
You mentioned new technology. I think many of us, maybe rightfully or wrongfully, or wrongly, are inclined to blame things like social media for maybe the rise of incivility. How do technologies like social media help or hinder the civil tone in our discourse?
It's a great question, and as I argue in my book, there is much that is the same in our nature, in this problem, the human condition, the human nature, the social and the selfish within each of us. It doesn't change, and yet, to your point, there is much that is different as well. For example, the 24/7 media cycle, the fact that we all have smartphones and are hyper connected all the time. Now, one person's mistruth or vicious statement doesn't just hurt the people within earshot. It can hurt millions
Mhm.
within moments. Winston Churchill had this great line 70 years ago. He said that a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth has a chance to put its pants on. And that is even more salient and relevant in the era of social media and fake news, and where the incendiary and vicious is rewarded. And so, an antidote I argue for in my book is that is this idea of cultivating our digital garden. My theory of social change is hyper individual, hyper local. And it's saying that you can't control how other people use these powerful new technologies, and what other people are tweeting, and how our public leaders are using or manipulating our media cycle, or how our news media are manipulating us and playing on our fears and our baser instincts for ad revenue. We can't control that, but we can control ourselves, and we can reward public leaders, reward people in our public discourse that use these tools wisely and well, and click off, not reward them with our time and attention. And we can also, when it comes to how we use these new tools, we can choose to create beauty and grace with how we use them. And that's what I've done with Civic Renaissance, my newsletter and publication dedicated to beauty, goodness, and truth, and reviving the wisdom of the past to help us lead better lives. It's a community of 50,000 people. That's a small drop in the bucket compared to the vastness of our world today, and everyone on using these technologies. But it's a small thing that I've cultivated, my little digital garden, my little corner of the internet that I have dedicated to healing our public discourse. And I believe that cumulatively, people doing the same can make a difference.
And you've been through, what they refer to as the swamp. You mentioned that you worked for the federal U.S. government. Politics is a nasty business. I've been involved. I get it. How does one succeed in this realm while remaining civil? I mean, you mentioned in your book a very particular incident that occurred where you kind of had your eyes open and said, "Wow, what's going on here?"
It's true. When I was in government, a colleague came up to me one day and he smiled at me and told me I looked particularly radiant that morning. And he asked ever so sweetly if I might help him, please, with a project that he was working on and was behind on. I was happy. I said I was happy to help. I didn't realize that he was expecting me to do the whole project for him, but I was happy to lend a hand. And then he turns around, passes all of my work off as his own, and then takes all of the meetings associated with the work that I had done, which he wasn't prepared for because I had done the work. And then after that, gone was the flattery and the saccharine tones of politeness, and he didn't need me anymore.
Okay,
And
so
so cast me aside.
I'm gonna pause you there and I want to unpack what are the consequences of that behavior. We'll be right back.